Hey guys, I'm going to talk about traction today. So, have you ever been on your bike, gone around a turn, and lost traction on either your front tire or your back tire? Of course you have. Every single person that's been on a mountain bike has gone around a turn and lost one of the tires, lost traction, and you had that kind of, oh, you know what type of moment. And put on the brakes, try and recover, and then head on your merry way. Or in some cases, you lose traction and whoosh, bike slides out and you go down. So what are some of the causes for that? Okay, so I've made a vid on tire pressure. If you have too much pressure in your tires, your tire patch size might be too small. And when you have smaller tire patch size in contact with the ground, there's less traction. The tire could slip. You could have under-pressurized tires where you're going around a turn and your rim is moving around on the tire because of low tire pressure, and then when you're going around a turn and you got this movement, it's unstable. And when it's unstable, there's a chance it could slip out from under you. It could be technique. Were you in the proper position? You know what position I'm talking about, because if you've seen any of the previous videos, I kind of hammered that in, so you kind of know. Were you in the right position? Do you have an equal balance of weight on both tires, on your front and back tire? If you had like 70% on one tire and 30% on the other, well, maybe that you didn't have enough weight on that one tire, and going around a turn with centrifugal force, that tire with the less weight on it is more likely to slide out. Okay. Another thing could be, how is your shock set up? Or if you don't have a shock, some people ride rigid, you don't have a front shock. Now, they made shocks so you could go around turns faster, like for racers. When you're going around a turn and there's bumps and obstacles, when you hit an obstacle on a turn and your front tire comes off the ground, you don't have any more traction anymore. And that's a little bit of a problem, because when your tire's airborne and it's not in contact with the ground, you can't control the bike. So they made front shocks. And the front shock, when it hits an obstacle, it compresses and then it decompresses and it's still in contact with the ground. So you have control over the bike in the turn. And racers, we're not racers, but racers in general, like motocross, motorcycle racing, they can rip through turns, and they don't have that problem because their front tire is always in contact with the ground, because the shock is taking up all the bumps from the roots and rocks and ruts and whatever, right? And same thing with the bike. Okay. Another thing with technique is, when you went into the turn, did you lean the bike over too much? Did you lean with the bike? Because we're dealing with gravity and centrifugal force. And when you're on a turn, and if you lean into the turn with your body, that centrifugal force is pushing the bike out, right? And when you lean in and have your weight to the inside of the turn, it's more likely that the bike will slide out from underneath you. So there's a lot of other factors too. What type of tires are you running? Are the tires optimal for the conditions that you're riding? Is it gravelly? Is it sandy? Is it rocky? Is it really loose, powdery dirt? A combination of them. So there's a lot of different factors. So what could you do to improve traction? Ideally, if you've either skied or snowboarded, you know that if you've had lessons, they teach you to carve. And in general, that's what you want to do with your mountain bike as well. You want to carve that turn. Another part of, let me go back. Another part of traction is how you're setting up for the turn, and I've made a video on that as well. Setting up on the outside, coming to the inside, and going outside. Now, if you don't set up as well, sometimes you'll head into the turn, and then it's like, I can't make this turn, so you got to crank the handlebars a little more. And then sometimes at speed, when you do that, when you have an abrupt turn, things start sliding. So another thing is smoothness. Now, back to the carving. Ideally, you want to track that turn. You want to set up for it and track it so your tires have minimal sliding. You want to dig your tires into the ground as much as possible. Now, based on the geometry of the bike, if you want to turn to the right, my right, the bike has to lean to the right. And if you turn to the left, the bike has to lean to the left. That's the geometry of the bike, the way it's built. And then if you look at your tires, on the mountain bike tires, you can see it's really aggressive. And then you want your tread for the center on the back tire pretty aggressive for climbing. But you have this tread on the side of your tire for gripping when the bike is on edge, either to the left or to the right. So you'll want to dig in this side on a left-hand turn, and then you want to dig in this side on a right-hand turn. So I got something for you guys to work on for that. So when you're going on a turn, your pedals are typically in two positions. When you're going slower, I'd say less than 15 miles an hour, your pedals are in a horizontal position when you're going slower. So you either have your right foot forward and your left foot back, or your left foot forward and your right foot back, whatever you feel comfortable with, right? And then you want to have them like that in general, because you don't want to have a pedal down and hit a rock or a root, right? All the obstacles on the trail. So when you're going slow, you'll want your pedals in that position. And when you're going a little faster, I'd say above 15 miles an hour, you want to use what I call the leverage turn. If you look in previous videos, basically if you're going on a left-hand turn, you want your right foot completely down to track that turn. And that's a good way of putting a good balance of 50-50 on your front tire and your rear tire. And if you want to make a right-hand turn, you'll have your left foot all the way down. And that, again, gives a great 50-50 distribution of weight between the front tire and back tire. Okay. Now the second thing, here's your homework assignment. So find a trail in your area that has it's downhill and it has some mild turns. Maybe it's a single track trail and it's just this like S turns. So what you should try and do is keep your body in a vertical position, and then to turn right, just lean the bike over to the right. Don't turn the handlebars. So just lean your bike over to the right, keep your body upright. So you'll feel that you're digging the knobs that I just talked about on your front and back tire. You want to feel like you're digging those into the ground with all your body weight, because most of your weight is in your torso. So you want your torso vertical. Just lean your bike over, and then feel that press of the edges of your tires into the turn. Turn to the right, and then when you go left, just lean the bike over to the left. Don't turn the handlebars. Just lean the bike, and it'll make the right-hand turn and the left-hand turn. So just practice that, and you'll feel that your bike tracks that turn a lot better. And then once you get used to that, you'll find that when you're going slower, like less than 15 miles an hour, you could pretty much keep your body upright and then just tilt the bike left and right to make those quick turns like that. And then you'll feel that you have better traction. And that's a lot of mountain biking, is traction. And then once you get better, faster, you could use the leverage turn where you got your foot completely down, your right foot down for making a left-hand turn. But instead of leaning into the turn, you want to keep some of your torso upright to keep the traction to use the side knobs on your tires and keep that traction. Now I've seen some downhill videos on YouTube, and you know, those downhill guys are going like really fast on a bike. I mean, I think they hit in excess of 50 miles an hour. And I seen one guy, you know, he's ripping this turn. You know, he's got his right foot down, he's ripping this left-hand turn, and then, you know, the centrifugal force is pushing him out, and he's got the bike leaned over, and then it just slides right out, you know, from under him. And, you know, these guys are pros, and they know what they're doing, but he's pushing the limits, right? We have gravity and physics to work with. If you go fast enough, you could have a completely perfectly set up bike, perfectly set up shock, brand new tires, set up for the condition and everything. But if you cook a turn, if you go in just too hot, I mean, physics is going to take over, and you're just going to slide out. You're going to lose traction. That's just physics and gravity. But when you are going faster and you have your foot down, just remember, don't lean your body weight into the turn as much. Try and keep a little more upright to keep your weight over your tires, and hope that helps you guys with traction. I know it's helped me. So try out a couple of those things and let me know how it goes, and I'll see you on the trails.